Howdy, howdy. Welcome on in to the pre-show before the free show. And I am not alone in the studio today.
No, far from it. You are joined by a television which presently has 3 basketball games and a cricket test on it.
I'm here for it.
I think
I
it's
can get behind
Sri
that.
Lanka and India, which is
that's...
Ben Baby informs me that this is important. And when Ben Baby what's it, ESPN?
Yes.
When Ben Baby of ESPN tells me that something's important,
I buy in
tune
fully.
in. Exactly. Hello.
Hello.
Welcome into the pre-show before the. I was speaking to the
Oh.
audience. I mean, hello to you too, I suppose. I guess if you want to do that, we can. Do you want to do that?
No.
Okay. Welcome on into the pre-show before the free show. It was quite a weekend. Quite a weekend.
It was.
We hung stuff in my office. I now have a whiteboard in my office at home, but it's one of those like glass whiteboards. So it's really cool. It's really nice.
That's fancy.
It looks like it's very modern. I'm trying to go with like a real modern home office
Okay.
look.
Interesting.
And yeah, so that's what I did this weekend. What'd you do this weekend?
Well, Friday was one of the top sports moments of my life when UNT won their first ever March Madness game, NCAA tournament game. That was sick. Last night, not so much. But Friday night, that was awesome. Like, really awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I did. I got pumped about the Mean
Got
Green
it.
literally all weekend.
Got it. I've watched almost none
You haven't watched any?
of the men's tournament.
Okay. That's...
Almost none.
I mean, the first...
I just can't get into it. I watched my in-laws were in town, and I went to Mizzou, my wife went to Mizzou, and my father-in-law went to Mizzou, and then my mother-in-law went to another smaller school in the city of Columbia. And so we watched a fair amount of the... We had the Oklahoma-Missouri game on.
Yeah.
But
and then they lost.
Surprise, surprise. Mizzou
See,
does something poor in sports. We're a wrestling school. It's fine.
This has been, like, all Mean Green stuff aside, which obviously was, like, the pinnacle of this entire tournament for me. I think that this has been a great tournament so far. Now, and I love that it's staggered between, we can, like, have all the screens on the men's games for, like, the first 2 days, and then by the time that they're basically done and there's just one game at a time, then you can go crazy multi-screen with the women's. It's, like, constant basketball, and it's everything.
The women's tournament's been, like, remarkably chalky. There's been a couple. Stephen F. Austin almost gave... They took somebody to overtime yesterday. I don't remember who it was.
I didn't get to see that one.
SFA took someone to overtime, ended up coming up short. But it has been, I think the first round... This is not surprising for the women's tournament, but, like, the first round has been almost entirely
chalky. Did you see
chalky.
what the Lady Bears did out of Baylor?
Yeah.
Oh, my God. I mean...
That's what happens when you've got... The problem is, like, here's the issue. The issue is the women's committee is really good at seeding teams.
Yeah.
They're really good.
Mm-hmm.
And so, as a result, when you have UConn playing High Point, you can feel pretty confident that UConn is one of the top 4 teams in the tournament, and you can feel confident that High Point is somewhere in the 60 to 64 range.
Right.
And it's going to look like that in a sport that traditionally does have a pretty big gap between the haves and the have-nots.
But the cool thing about it, like, even with just total domination, and I get that game's probably not super fun for most people to watch, it was awesome because, I mean, how many times do you see a team in a tournament anywhere just absolutely annihilate someone like that? Like, that makes it fun.
So last night, I have not watched a ton of Stanford this year, even though they've been, like, one of the top 3 teams in the country all year. I haven't watched a ton of Stanford this year. I sat down and I watched their first round game, and yeah, they're a remorseless killing
Oh yeah,
machine.
it's all, and it's
like
just
it's unbelievable.
and
It's like, wow, you're a lot better than who'd they beat?
And that's the thing for me, like, just really loving the game of
Then
basketball.
Utah Valley.
Yeah, just loving the game of basketball, seeing a team go out there as a unit like that and just operate like a well-oiled machine. I don't care what the score is; it's just fun to watch. But on the other side, the men's. This has been one of the best March Madness for the men's side of that I can remember. I think that the landmines everywhere has been awesome. It's nonstop basketball. I feel like I'm wired.
Cool. Radical. The Rangers lost a bunch of spring training games.
Yeah, no one cares.
I'll watch a decent amount of that.
Of course you did.
All right, hit the Theme Expo. Let's go! Free money! Yes, y'all. From the Dave Campbell's Texas Football Mothership here in beautiful Lewisville, Texas. It is Texas Football Today, a television show that doesn't need you to tell us what month that we're allowed to be mad in. I'm tired of that.
It's not a television show. I'm more confused about that than the madness.
We can be mad whenever we want. This is America. We don't have to wait for March to get mad. It's mad in January. Mad in February. Probably be mad in May. My name is Greg Tepper. I'm the managing editor of Dave Campbell's Texas Football, a magazine, TexasFootball.com, corresponding website. Thank you for spending part of your day with us, whether you're watching us live on TexasFootball.com, Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch. Getting better at that. Or you're listening to us on the podcast, which you can subscribe to on the podcast vendor of your choice. Either way, thank you for doing your part to support your local mediocre internet show. I am sitting in this chair, in this studio, back in the studio, sitting over there in the chair that she has been inhabiting. Did you even leave Friday?
No, I've been here all weekend.
She's been
Never
here all
left.
weekend. She's got a good butt groove going.
Mm-hmm.
She is the Duchess of the Dorks. She is Ashley Pickle. Hello, Ashley Pickle.
Howdy.
And here, with 10 seconds to do anything she wants to about North Texas, is Ashley Pickle.
That win Friday was awesome. It was just, I mean, that was just, it was the pinnacle of elite. I think that the last time I was that excited was probably when the Longhorns won the national championship, but I was 8, so I got to relish this one.
Okay, cool. Today is Monday, March 22nd, 2021, 248 days till Thanksgiving, episode 1130. 1130, this is, what is 1130? 1130, this is the Nick Wilhite episode. He was a pitcher, appeared in 5 games for the Washington Senators in 1965, which we all knew. From Tulsa, by the way. Born in Tulsa.
Riveting.
Yeah, hold on. What else? Yeah, that's about it. Got nothing else to say about Nick Wilhite. On today's show, my friends, we got headlines from across the state, including there was some pretty big news that came down Wednesday, sometime after Monday last week.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Because we weren't able to do it on headlines last week. A major coaching change. We've got headlines from across the state. We'll talk all about what's going on with the biggest coaching change in the state. Then back half of the show, big guest. We're going to be joined by the head coach of the San Antonio Marshall Rams. Coach Tim Williams will join us. They have a pretty remarkable story, and I need to confirm it with them on the air so you can hear me doing my research with the subject of the interview on the air.
That's always a great plan.
It's a staple of this show. But I'm fairly certain that they went from like the spread or like a multiple offense to the flex bone last year.
Yeah.
Like, so which means they installed it during the Pandy.
pandemic when no one was actually
Right.
practicing.
And they went 5-4, which is like their best season. It's first winning season since '06. So like, I have a lot of questions for Tim Williams, San Antonio Marshall head coach, coming up here. As I
That's
cap
how
the
you're going to
program.
prep it. Hey, Coach.
Coach,
A lot of questions
Coach,
here.
let's get into it. First of all, what?
What? Come again, please?
Yeah, just explain this to me. Do we have first four through the door?
Yeah, I don't know if my comments just aren't loading right, but it was Tony Blaylock, Rob Hadaway, and Daniel Agnew. No one else said hi to me, so no one Step commented, but Step didn't tell me hi, so boo you. We have first three through the door. Ooh, that's
First
hard with
three
the three with the
down the ski. First three.
boo this
in
man.
First three saying hi to me.
Oh, okay.
There you go. How about that?
That
Okay.
works kind of.
Let's get into some headlines. Headlines from across the state of Texas. A relatively light weekend of news, but there is
Some stuff to catch up
some
on.
stuff to catch up on.
Oh,
We
Landon Sams. Hi, Pickle. Hello, Landon.
There
There
you
we go.
We will start with the move that came down last week that has shaken.
I always like shaken. I don't.
I was like shaken
Shooken
too.
sounds
Shook.
dumb.
That
That
has
sounds
shook.
like super country.
That has
There we go.
shook the Texas high school football world, and that is, of course, the news that this is episode 1130 of the show. Like, it's the 1130th.
I've seen-
spectacular. We've
Yeah,
been-
nothing about it other
Yeah.
on Twitter. That's it. That's all
Mhm.
I've seen this
That's
week.
what everybody's been amped about. No. It's that the biggest, largest Texas high school football program in the state is now open and is looking for a new head coach, as Allen coach Terry Gamble has announced his retirement after 5 seasons with the Eagles. So that's pretty big. Anytime they have a coaching change, it's obviously notable, because Allen is not only the largest Texas high school football program in the state, but they are also a high-profile program. You know?
Right. I see. That's like almost nationally. Like when people look
Yeah.
at Texas high school football, the first stadium they think of is
I think
Eagle Stadium.
I think when people think of nationally, and that'll be an interesting conversation to have, but when people think nationally of what, like, if they know Texas high school football programs, Allen is definitely on that list. Like,
Yeah.
I can name a couple of the big schools in Florida, and I can name a couple of big schools in California and Ohio and Pennsylvania, right? Those are
It's like
hotspots.
people would name Odessa Permian because of
Yes.
Friday Night Lights. Like
Yes.
that's what you think of that, and then you think of Allen
Right.
Eagle Stadium.
I think that Allen is a high school football program of national repute, and as a result, it's pretty big doings whenever they are looking for a new head coach, which they are. Terry Gamble was remarkably successful there in his tenure at Allen. He finishes with a record of 65-4.
I would say
He
that's
coached
on the
for
good side.
5 years and lost 4 games. It's pretty good. He did, of course, led them to the state championship in 2017 with the Eagles. And before that, he went 67-13 at Hewitt Midway. He has been a remarkably successful head coach. I don't know how much I'm at liberty to say, but here is what I will tell you.
Can we acknowledge real fast, too, that their athletic director
Correct.
then also was the next bomb to fall?
Yes, their athletic director.
Like the next day.
Yeah. Their athletic director, Williams, I want to say. Something Williams.
Because that's pretty notable, too.
Yes. Steve Williams. He announced his retirement after 46 years with Allen ISD. So he announced his retirement, too. I do not think those are unconnected.
No.
I think that there is, from what I understand and from what I've heard and from what our insider Matt Stepp at Dave Campbell at TexasFootball.com, he's got a piece up with kind of the inside scoop on there you can check out there for insiders. From what he seems to indicate, Terry Gamble is retiring. But that doesn't mean he's done coaching. And that he would be open to, if the right job were to come about, he would be open to doing this. From what I understand, the retirement is an agreement of separation between the two, and this is the most elegant way to do it, where everybody gets what they want, from what I understand. Obviously, Allen is going to be a pretty big job, and let's make no mistake about this. Allen is going to go out there and select their coach.
Yeah.
Pickle, I know you had high hopes. I know that it's your dream job to go and be the head coach of the Allen Eagles. I should tell you, you can apply because they have to post it.
Yeah.
I don't think that you or most people are going to be genuinely considered for the job.
But I would charm him in the interview. That's what I do.
So I got this job. So they're going to target their guys. There's probably a short list that they have that this is not, I do not think this is a wide open search, in my opinion. I'm putting on my opinion hat here.
Yes.
I do not think this is a wide open search. I
No.
think this is a pretty, not narrow search, but I think that this is the kind of job where you go out there and you say, this is the guy that I want.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to go and talk to him directly, whether or not he's applied or not.
Right.
That's what I think is going on.
They have a hand selection in this, basically.
I think that's what's going on.
Because the trophy of Allen is basically shiny enough to just offer it to someone.
Now, look, and we've got a whole 20 minutes on this on Tep and Step, our premium high school football podcast that you should check out at texasfootball.com. That Step and I go back and forth on this. The Allen job is a unique animal.
Mm-hmm.
And I will be honest, like, the Allen job, the pro is you're going to win a lot. Like, you have a lot of resources, there's a lot of things there, and the structure is in place for you to go out there and win a lot. That's the pro. There is also a con, and the con is you got to deal with a lot of nonsense.
Yes.
When you are dealing with a program that is that big, when you are dealing with a program that is that prominent and that is that high profile, there are a lot of people who are going to want their opinion heard.
Yes.
Let's put it this way. Chad Rogers is the new coach out at Tioga, right? He left Denison to go out to Tioga. At Tioga, if everybody wants to have everybody who cares wants their voice heard.
You've got about 10 people.
Handful of people. Coach Rogers, he can handle those people.
Yes.
Right? He can
You
do
can
that.
have them all in one conference room.
At Allen, it's different. And at Allen, you have to serve a lot of masters. And that's one thing that I'm interested in, that I think people are looking at this and saying, well, everybody in the world would want this job. And I'm here to tell you,
no,
it takes a certain kind of guy or girl,
Coach Pickle,
who wants that job, to take that job. And I think one of the things, and I like Terry Gamble a lot. Our conversations have always been very pleasant. I think you've covered the Allen games. He's always been very pleasant to you. He's a great guy. I like him a lot. I think one of the things about Terry Gamble is that he wants to show up, coach football. Like all the other nonsense that goes on around it, all the politicking is kind of a dangerous, a loaded word, but all the politicking you have to do, I think he did that, but that was kind of like, okay, I have to do this in order to go and do my job. This was a guy, I think that Allen is the type of job, because of its unique circumstances, that you have to know what you're getting into, and you have to embrace that this is not going to be a high school football job like it is at, God bless them, Tioga.
Right, and I think that you can talk to high school football coaches that have been doing this for years. Like, the first one that comes to my mind is like a Sam Harrell, like a legendary coach that you're going, why didn't you go up to the college ranks? You had opportunities to move up, and they go, I want to be here to coach football, and that's what I want to do. I don't want to have to go in front of the media all the time and do the mandatory press conferences every week and all of the jazz that comes into, like you said, the political side of, taking on a program like that.
On Tep and Step, I drew a comparison to Todd Peterman, the head coach at Saginaw Boswell now. Or no, I'm not Saginaw Boswell. He's at Brewer, Fort Worth Brewer.
Yes.
at Fort Brewer. Remember, he won that state championship at DeSoto and then was gone. And if you talk with him, he is very much, I think, in that same Terry Gamble vein of like, what he wants to do is he wants to coach football and he wants to teach math. Like that's what Todd Peterman wants to do. DeSoto came with it, and those types of programs that have that national profile,
right?
They come with it a lot of other baggage, and I think he was just like that. He's just not suited. That's just not his
right.
He's not interested in that.
Yeah, Todd Gleaton brought up a great point that you could even look at maybe Scott Surratt and say,
Right.
you know, like why is he not at the biggest job? He's one of the most all-time winning coaches, and it's like, well, he's happy with life in East Texas. So
why would he leave?
Why would he leave?
Why would he leave his own kingdom?
Yeah, to go deal with that.
Right, that's the thing. And so
You
that's
gotta be
one
the
thing
big fish.
that as this Allen now Matt Stepp reports on TexasFootball.com that he thinks they're going to move quickly. He thinks that this job could be filled quick. We will see. I think a lot of it will come down to whether or not the first person they call accepted. If he accepts it, then they're off to the races.
Right.
But if not, then this thing could drag on a little bit. Anyway, that's the latest there. You can find it at TexasFootball.com. A couple other news and notes. There was college football this weekend in the sub-FBS ranks. Sam Houston State hammered Lamar.
They're just
our
a
friend
machine.
That Eric Schmid went nuts again. I think he threw 6 touchdowns. I need to see who's going to slow down that offense before I believe that they're not going to just mow down everyone they see.
I don't see how they
looks.
would.
I mean, look, we talked with Casey Keeler last week, and he said that when you've got that guy, you've got a shot. And right now, Sam Houston State looks like a team you don't want to see across the field. They look fantastic. UT Permian Basin had a fantastic win this week, 17-2 over A&M Kingsville. That defense for UT Permian Basin continues to be very impressive. Meanwhile, on TexasFootball.com, you can read Corey Hoag's piece about Incarnate Word, and specifically quarterback Cameron Ward, how fantastic he was. Kind of led a 28-point spurt that they had to pull away from their win over number 16 Southeastern Louisiana. And so Incarnate Word looking very, very good as well. They are now averaging almost 600 yards of total offense per game. So keep an eye on them. Also, one other little note. TexasFootball.com, we mentioned this in previous podcasts. We are now the home. We are hosting the website for the State 7-on-7 organization. We do not operate State 7-on-7. That's still the board of directors or anything like that. We're just the
dummies with the website.
We're doing their website.
And it looks really good, by the way. If you haven't checked it out, it's awesome.
TexasFootball.com/7-on-7. You can find it there. And we're just running their website because we have a nice website, and they were like, "Hey, can you do this for us?" So TexasFootball.com/7-on-7. That kind of diminishes. We have a very good relationship with the 7-on-7 and the THSA, blah blah blah, whatever.
You're just sticking your foot in your mouth.
I'm trying to say the right thing, which is
it's not working.
Which is that if you're mad at the state qualifying tournament schedule, don't yell at me. I don't have anything to do with it.
Just go look at our pretty website, darn it.
But the state qualifying tournament schedule is up. It will start on May 8th with a couple, and then May 15th it really kicks into gear with like 4 or 5 or 6 or 7 different tournaments each week. So you can find that schedule at TexasFootball.com/7-on-7. We are at Texas Football Today. We're here every weekday at noon on TexasFootball.com, talking football in the Lone Star State. You can follow us on Twitter at DCTF, like us on Facebook, Facebook.com/Dave Campbell's. Follow us on Instagram, Instagram.com/Dave Campbell's, and of course, see us at TexasFootball.com. TexasFootball.com is where you can find complete coverage of high school football, college football, and recruiting all across the Lone Star State. I hope you will consider becoming a Dave Campbell's Texas Football Insider. That is our subscription package. 2 magazines, a year's worth of exclusive online content at TexasFootball.com, including the aforementioned Tep and Step, our premium high school football podcast. Matt Stepp and I nerded out for about an hour on Texas high school ball coaching changes. One of them that we didn't have time to get to, or maybe we mentioned last week, was Russell Lucas taking the job at Sweetwater. We kind of break that down and what that means for them. But we go in depth, so if you're into that kind of thing, TexasFootball.com/subscribe to become a Dave Campbell's Texas Football Insider. So please go to TexasFootball.com/subscribe. Pickle, let's go to the hotline. And let's bring in the head coach of the San Antonio Marshall Rams. We are joined by Coach Tim Williams. Coach, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm excellent. How are things in the beautiful Alamo City?
Oh man, it's great. A little windy today, but other than that, a good spring day.
Fantastic. So I want to ask you a little bit about your 2020 season, which was, I think, pretty remarkable. You guys were able to put together your first winning season since 2006. And you did it in the strangest circumstances possible. 2020 obviously was not kind to pretty much anybody. So I guess my question is, how were you guys able to have your best season in what felt like the strangest set of circumstances?
Well, I think it all goes back to the fact that it's been my sixth year now, and we've built a culture of basically overcoming a lot of adversity. And when you're trying to turn a program around, like Marshall, it's not something that happens in a year. It's something that's going to take a lot of time. And I think the COVID and everything that we had to go through with that was just another test that our guys were ready for. And I think it was just the right time that we broke out, and that didn't affect us too much because we were used to handling a lot of adversity.
So one thing I want to ask you about is and I've tried to figure this out on my own, and I'm just going to do my research on the air with you, which is,
All right.
did you guys change offensive schemes last year?
We did, yes, sir.
Okay, so you guys were running kind of a multiple spread offense before 2020, and then you chose 2020 as the time to install the Flexbone offense, which is one of the most intricate and hard to manage and hard to learn offenses that there is. And yet you guys ride that to your, one of the most improved offenses in the state. How were you guys able to install an offense that is so intricate like the Flexbone under the circumstances that everybody had in the spring and the summer?
Well, I think really COVID did us a true blessing because we were able to get on Zooms, and then have individual position meetings, have group meetings, and really take the time to install it. We had our quarterbacks. I worked with them, and we would watch tons of film on our Zoom, hours a day, different plays, and deciding, okay, is this a give? Is this a pull? Who's the pitch guy? Who's the option guy? And, basically make it like a classroom. And I think that was instrumental in what we did, going from, I think, the fifth or sixth best offense in our district to the first, in our district and one of the highest ones in the state, I think is a testament to our guys learning the offense through the Zoom and really taking it like a classroom setting.
That's incredible. I don't think I've ever heard anything like that.
Crazy.
It's Tim Williams, head coach of San Antonio Marshall here on Texas Football Today. Get involved in the conversation at hashtag TF Today. Okay, Coach, let's look forward to 2021. You're coming off your first winning season in almost 15 years, and now you guys are going to be a team that maybe has a little bit of a target on your chest. Do you have a feeling quite yet as to how this team may be different? For better or for worse, however it may fall, than last year's team?
Yeah, without a doubt. There's several things. One, our quarterback and our fullback were amazing football players, and I'd be remiss not to give Dylan Cooper and Josiah Garcia credit on making us as good as we were. But this year we've got some guys that step into those roles. They're just different people. And the fact that Dylan Cooper, if you ever watched him play or ever saw him, he's a Baker Mayfield type of guy. He wears his emotions on his sleeve, kind of goes crazy, goes nuts, and just is a real fiery, competitive guy. Josiah is a quiet leader type, and this year's team is more of the Josiah and kind of anything. Our quarterback that we're looking at possibly being the starter is basically just as stoic as ever. Doesn't really get rattled, doesn't show much emotion. We've got some fullbacks that we moved over from the defensive side that I think is going to step in, and we've really improved, which is good for us in our receiving core. I think we've got a lot better receiving core than we had last year.
Talking with Tim Williams, head coach of San Antonio Marshall here on Texas Football Today. Get involved in the conversation at hashtag TF Today. Coach, one guy I know you're really excited about on the defensive side, especially, is Ben Clark, a guy who a senior for you, gonna line up at free safety, play a little bit of wide receiver for you guys. You know, your defense, for all the talk about the offense last year, you know, the defense certainly held up its end of the bargain as well. How important is a guy like Ben Clark to what you guys are going to do defensively?
Well, he's extremely important. And what we did is, we're constantly going and evolving and looking at new things. And so we've kind of gone to a different defensive scheme as to where we're putting Ben a little closer to the ball, playing a nickel-type guy to where he's a little more involved in the run and the pass. And we've kind of put some guys, just like we did on the offensive side, but defensively this year we're going to put some guys in position to be successful and to get some things that other teams really haven't seen. And when they play us, I hope that it's a very unique practice for them in the fact that they're trying to emulate something that they've never seen both on offense and defensive side of the ball.
Finally, Coach, I want to ask you about the change in mindset. You guys are a program, as we mentioned. Before last year, it had been since 2006 that you guys had that winning season. You guys hadn't made the playoffs since 2012. You guys are going to be battling for that playoff spot there in your district. I'm interested. How does last year and the results you were able to have change maybe the conversation in the locker room, the conversation in practice, and maybe change the expectation level?
Well, Brian, I don't know how familiar you are, but we had Brennan beat. We missed 3 extra points and missed a field goal to go ahead late, or they would have been beat. And we felt like that we should have been in the playoffs this year. We should have been the district champions. And so our kids now have the mentality, and we talk all the time, that there's no going back. And that's kind of our mantra for this year is, there's no going back. And what I mean by that is, we're no longer a team that isn't going to be in the playoffs. That we're going to be the team, like you talked about, that has the target on their back, that makes the playoffs and is expected to make a deep run. We were disappointed with last year, as great as it was. We walked away from last year being disappointed because we felt like we let 2 or 3 games get away from us that it shouldn't have. And so we've got a lot to prove, but we welcome that challenge. But yeah, we're dead set on the new tradition of being in the playoffs year in and year out.
He's Tim Williams. He's the head coach of the San Antonio Marshall Rams. Coach, really appreciate your time. Congratulations again on a breakout 2020 season, and looking forward to seeing your Rams in 2021.
Thank you so much. God bless you guys.
There he goes. Tim Williams, the head coach, San Antonio Marshall Rams. Phone quality a little bit in and out, but I don't know. I am actually blown away by the idea of installing the FlexBone from scratch, from ground zero over Zoom.
Yeah, he was.
But that's what they did.
Well, and I love
That's unbelievable.
He said it was almost a blessing, and it does change your perspective a little bit, that they're sitting there with nothing else to do other than really get to sit down and teach these guys this.
Yeah.
So it's like, but that's insane.
Well, and they do that. I mean, they make that change. And they don't just install it, like they install it so well. They were the 12th most improved offense in 11-man football last year.
That is just awesome.
Okay. They went from they improved their points per game average by 20 points. They went from 15.5 points a game to 36. Like, that's insane. And it truly, genuinely remarkable. Full disclosure, he had turned in his questionnaire, and I was kind of reading over it and stuff like that, and it said something along the lines of, like, I think that having a full year after our new offense, a full year after installing a new offense last year.
And you were like, hang on,
and I'm
what?
I'm like, okay, I've got to be reading something wrong here, because their offense was so much better, like so much better. It's one, I don't know, like it's one thing to install the spread.
Yeah.
Because it's like, I think that's a little bit more backyard football.
Universally known.
Yes, exactly.
Understood.
But the FlexBone requires such a like everyone knowing exactly what they're doing, and to be able to install that virtually is unbelievable. Like, actually, I actually do not believe it.
It says so much about that coaching staff. Like,
yes, I'm not calling Tim Williams a liar. I'm telling you, I actually don't believe it, though. Like, that's unbelievable that they were able to do that. So
cool.
Remarkable. Appreciate Coach Tim Williams hopping on with us from San Antonio Marshall. And now we go over to Ashley Pickle for America's second favorite segment. Final thoughts.
Definitely wanted to use this to say Ish and Brune are still they're doing their Texas 24 podcast. We've talked about that. I think I got
another one today.
Yeah, so they ended up recording if you want to go back and relive the hype of both, they did talk about North Texas, but the big one, ACU upsetting UT. They did a quick hitter podcast for that over the weekend. That's up. And then I think they're recording today or tomorrow for kind of a full scope of March Madness. So while you're still all juiced up on your basketball juices, I guess, then you go ahead and
you can find it at TexasBasketball.com. If you're on your if you're on your whatever podcast vendor you use, just search Texas 24.
Yeah.
That is the Dave Campbell's Texas Basketball Podcast. So make sure
Good stuff.
You listen to that. That's going to do it for us. Thanks for spending a little bit of your day with us. Follow us on Twitter at DCTF. Like us on Facebook, Facebook.com/Dave Campbell's. Follow us on Instagram, Instagram.com/Dave Campbell's. And, of course, see us at TexasFootball.com. Thanks again to Tim Williams of San Antonio Marshall for being our guest. For Ashley Pickle, I'm Greg Tepper. Vince Young, please get your Player of the Year trophy. We'll see you tomorrow for the 1,131st episode spectacular
of
Texas Football Today.